Electric bike retailers don't want you to know that their $3,000 bikes are manufactured in the exact same Chinese factories selling identical models for $70. What if I told you that the premium e-bike your local shop is pushing for $3,000 costs them less than what you spend on groceries each week? That's not an exaggeration. The same 350-watt motor, 48-volt battery, and aluminum frame, but marked up by 4,000%. Imagine walking into a bike shop, seeing a $2,500 price tag, and knowing you could get the exact same transportation for the cost of a tank of gas. Today I'm counting down the 20 cheapest electric bikes you can buy directly from China. And trust me, number 1 will make you question every retail purchase you've ever made. This isn't just about saving money, it's about exposing the biggest markup scandal in the transportation industry. Let's start with number 20 and work our way down to the absolute cheapest electric bike you can buy in China today. Number 20, Engwei T14, around $500. The Engwei T14 sits at our starting point with a price tag of around $500. This isn't exactly cheap by Chinese standards, but it gives us perspective on where we're heading. The T14 features a 250-watt motor powered by a 48-volt, 10-amp-hour battery pack. What makes this bike interesting is its folding design, which means you can actually fit it in most car trunks or store it in small apartments. The 48-volt system is significant because it provides more power and efficiency compared to the 36-volt systems you'll see in cheaper models. You're looking at real-world speeds around 15 to 20 miles per hour, depending on your weight and terrain. The folding mechanism works smoothly, though like most budget folders, you'll want to check the hinges regularly. You can order this directly from AliExpress with free shipping to most locations. Import duties might add another $50 to $70 depending on your location, but you're still looking at a complete electric bike for under $600 delivered. Number 19, Totem Victor 2.0, around $500. The Totem Victor 2.0 shares similar pricing with the Engwei, but takes a different approach. Instead of focusing on portability, this bike emphasizes durability and versatility. The 350-watt motor provides noticeably more power than the Engwei, making hills and headwinds less of a struggle. What sets the Victor 2.0 apart is its suspension fork and puncture-resistant tires. These aren't just marketing gimmicks. The suspension actually works for small bumps and potholes, while the 1.95-inch tires provide decent traction on various surfaces. This makes it more of a hybrid between city commuting and light trail riding. The build quality feels more solid than typical budget e-bikes. The frame geometry is comfortable for longer rides, and the components seem like they'll hold up to daily use. For $500, you're getting a bike that could realistically replace a car for short to medium commutes. Number 18, Hemo V1, around $300. Now we're getting into more interesting territory. The Hemo V1 drops the price to around $300 while maintaining decent functionality. This is an older model, which explains the lower price, but it's still available through various platforms. The V1 uses a 250-watt motor with a 36-volt battery system. While less powerful than the previous bikes, it's perfectly adequate for flat terrain and moderate hills. The folding design is actually quite elegant, and Hemo has a reputation for building bikes that last longer than their price tags suggest. The main compromise here is range. You're looking at maybe 15 to 20 miles on a full charge under ideal conditions. Real-world usage with hills, headwinds, and heavier riders will drop that significantly. But for short commutes or last-mile transportation, it's hard to beat the value. What's clever about the V1 is its minimalist design. There aren't many bells and whistles to break. The display is simple, the controls are intuitive, and the overall aesthetic is clean and modern. Number 17, Wingu B20, around $440. The Wingu B20 sits in an interesting middle ground. At $440, it's pricier than some options we'll see later, but it offers something different, genuine compact portability. This bike weighs significantly less than most e-bikes, making it actually practical to carry upstairs or onto public transportation. The 250-watt motor and 36-volt 6 amp-hour battery, keep weight down but limit performance. You're trading power and range for convenience. The build quality is surprisingly good for the price. The folding mechanism feels solid and the components seem well matched. The main limitation is range. You're looking at maybe 15 miles under ideal conditions and probably closer to 10 miles in real-world use. For urban dwellers who need something they can easily store in small spaces or combine with other forms of transportation, the B20 makes sense. It's genuinely portable in a way that heavier e-bikes simply aren't. Number 16, DYU D3F, $481. The DYU D3F represents excellent value at $481. DYU has built a solid reputation in the budget e-bike market, and the D3F shows why. The 250-watt motor and 36-volt, 10-amp-hour battery provide a good balance of power and range. The 14-inch tires are larger than some ultra-compact models, which translates to better stability and comfort. You can actually ride this bike for extended periods without feeling like you're on a toy. The claimed range of up to 40 miles is optimistic, but 25 to 30 miles is realistic under normal conditions. What's impressive about DYU bikes is their attention to practical details. The folding mechanism is well engineered, the cable management is clean, and the overall fit and finish exceeds expectations. This feels like a bike designed by people who actually ride bikes. The D3F is readily available on AliExpress with good seller ratings and reasonable shipping times. Customer reviews are generally positive, with most complaints focusing on minor issues rather than fundamental problems. Before we continue, if you're finding this information valuable and want to see more deep dives into affordable electric vehicles, make sure to subscribe. We're constantly researching the latest budget options from around the world, and there's always something new hitting the market. Number 15, DYU S2, $399. The DYU S2 drops the price to $399 while maintaining DYU's reputation for quality. This model is particularly interesting because it blurs the line between e-bike and e-scooter. The 240-watt motor might seem underpowered, but the S2's lightweight design means it still performs well. The 10-inch tires provide a good compromise between portability and ride quality. You get the convenience of a scooter with the versatility of a bike. The hybrid design means you can ride it like a traditional bike when the battery runs low, though the small wheels make pedaling less efficient than larger-wheeled bikes. The trade-off is extreme portability. This thing folds down small enough to fit under most desks. Range claims of up to 37 miles are definitely optimistic, but 20 to 25 miles is achievable with moderate use. The charging time is reasonable, and the battery seems to hold up well over time based on user reports. Number 14, Fido D3 Pro, $399. The Fido D3 Pro matches the DYU S2's price, but takes a more traditional approach. At $399, you get a proper bicycle design with a 250-watt motor and 36-volt, 7.5 amp-hour battery. Fido has been in the budget e-bike game for years, and their experience shows in the D3 Pro. The build quality is consistently good, with attention paid to details that other manufacturers often skip. The folding mechanism is smooth and reliable, and the overall design is both functional and attractive. The D3 Pro excels in urban environments. The 25 km/h top speed is perfect for bike lanes and mixed traffic. The range of up to 37 miles is more realistic than many competitors' claims, with most users reporting 25 to 30 miles in real-world conditions. What sets Fido apart is their customer service and parts availability. When something does break, you can actually get replacement parts without jumping through hoops. This might not matter initially, but it becomes crucial after a year or two of regular use. Number 13, Dengfu E10, around $471. The Dengfu E10 is a bit of an outlier in this list. At $471, it's priced similarly to other bikes we've covered, but it targets a completely different market. This is essentially a budget mountain e-bike. The carbon fiber frame immediately sets it apart from the aluminum frames common in this price range. Carbon fiber is lighter and provides better vibration damping, which matters on rough terrain. The mid-drive motor placement provides better weight distribution and more natural bike handling. The soft tail rear suspension isn't full suspension, but it takes the edge off bumps and rough surfaces. Combined with the carbon frame, the ride quality is surprisingly good for the price. The Dengfu E10 is primarily available through Taobao, which means you'll need to navigate Chinese websites or use an agent service. This adds complexity and cost, but for riders specifically looking for off-road capability, it's worth considering. Number 12, Hemo V1 alternative listing, around $300. We're seeing the Hemo V1 again, but from a different source at around $300. This highlights an important point about buying Chinese e-bikes. Prices vary significantly depending on the platform and seller. Geek buying often has different pricing than AliExpress or direct from manufacturers. Sometimes you'll find the same bike for $50 to $100 less by shopping around. It's worth checking multiple sources before making a purchase. The V1's specifications remain the same regardless of where you buy it. 250-watt motor, 36-volt battery, folding design. What changes is the seller support, shipping times, and return policies. Geek buying generally offers decent customer service, but it's worth reading recent reviews before ordering. This price variation also demonstrates how competitive the budget e-bike market has become. Manufacturers are constantly adjusting prices to maintain market share, which benefits consumers but makes it harder to track exact pricing. Number 11, Mihogo Mini, $499. The Mihogo Mini brings us back up to $499, but there's a good reason it's positioned here, despite the higher price. This bike has earned genuinely positive reviews from Western cycling publications, which is rare in the budget category. The 350-watt motor provides solid performance, while the 48-volt, 16-amp-hour battery offers excellent range for a compact bike. The 12-inch tires strike a good balance between portability and ride quality. You can actually cover meaningful distances on this bike without discomfort. What sets the Mihogo Mini apart is build quality that exceeds its price point. The folding mechanism feels robust, the components are well matched, and the overall design suggests someone actually thought about how people use these bikes. Electrek specifically praised the Mini for its value and portability. When established cycling media outlets notice budget bikes, it usually means they offer something special. The Mini seems to deliver genuine transportation value rather than just being a novelty. Now we're entering the wholesale territory, where prices drop dramatically, but purchasing becomes more complex. Number 10, China Factory, wholesale electric bike, around $150 to $250. This entry represents a category rather than a specific model. Various Chinese factories offer 350-watt, 48-volt electric bikes with 30 to 32 amp-hour batteries in the $150 to $250 range for bulk purchases. The key specification here is the large battery capacity. 30 to 32 amp-hours is significantly more than most retail bikes offer. In theory, this provides extended range, though the actual performance depends on many factors, including battery quality and motor efficiency. These bikes typically feature 14-inch wheels and can accommodate 2 riders, though safety and comfort with 2 people is questionable. The build quality varies dramatically between suppliers, making research crucial before committing to a purchase. The challenge with wholesale purchases is the minimum order quantity. You typically need to buy 10 to 100 units, which puts them out of reach for individual consumers. However, some buyers organize group purchases or work with importing businesses to access wholesale pricing. Number 9, cheapest electric motorcycle factory, wholesale, around $100 to $200. The pricing here becomes somewhat theoretical, as specific specifications aren't always clearly defined. We're looking at bikes described as electric motorcycles or scooters in the $100 to $200 range for bulk purchases. The term electric motorcycle is often used loosely by Chinese manufacturers. These are typically e-bikes with motorcycle-style styling rather than actual motorcycles with higher performance. The power levels usually remain in the 350-watt range to avoid licensing requirements in most markets. Quality at this price level is highly variable. Some suppliers produce surprisingly functional vehicles, while others offer products that barely qualify as transportation. The lack of standardization means each supplier must be evaluated individually. For content creators or businesses looking to import budget electric vehicles, these wholesale options represent interesting opportunities. However, the complexity of international shipping, quality control, and regulatory compliance makes them impractical for most individual buyers. Number 8. 2025 popular hot cell electric city bicycle, $191 to $250. Despite the awkward product name, this represents a legitimate category of budget e-bikes. The price range of $191 to $250 reflects different configurations and minimum order quantities. The motor specification of greater than 500 watts is interesting because it suggests more power than typical budget bikes. However, Chinese power ratings aren't always accurate or comparable to Western standards. Real-world performance may vary significantly from claim specifications. The 48-volt electrical system and 14-inch wheels suggest this is designed as a practical urban transportation device rather than a toy or novelty item. The city bicycle designation typically means comfortable riding position and practical features like fenders and chain guards. Linyi Huanyu Jundong New Energy Technology appears to be the supplier, and they offer multiple similar models. This suggests they have some scale and experience in electric bike manufacturing, which could translate to better quality control. Number 7. Electric mobility battery bike with extended range, $190 to $250. This model specifically advertises 40 to 60 kilometer range, which translates to roughly 25 to 37 miles. For a bike in the $190 to $250 wholesale range, this represents excellent value if the claims are accurate. The motor rating of greater than 500 watts suggests this bike prioritizes performance over efficiency. Higher power typically means faster acceleration and better hill climbing ability, though it may reduce overall range despite the larger battery. The 14-inch wheels and 48-volt system seem to be standard for this category. What's interesting is the relatively low minimum order quantity of just 10 units. This makes group purchases more feasible for individual buyers who want to access wholesale pricing. Range claims should always be viewed skeptically, especially at these price points. Factors like rider weight, terrain, weather, and riding style dramatically affect real-world performance. However, even if actual range is half the claimed amount, it's still competitive for the price. Number 6. Lead-acid battery e-bike with child seat, $210 to $300. This model explicitly mentions lead-acid batteries, which explains the lower price point. Lead-acid batteries are significantly cheaper than lithium alternatives, but come with substantial drawbacks including weight, shorter lifespan, and reduced performance in cold weather. The inclusion of a child seat and pedals suggests this is designed as family transportation rather than individual commuting. The 351 to 500 watt motor should provide adequate power for 2 riders, though performance will be limited by the heavy lead-acid battery. The price range of $210 to $300 reflects different battery capacities and feature sets. Higher prices typically include larger batteries or additional accessories like lights, fenders, or cargo racks. For buyers in developing markets where cost is the primary concern, lead-acid e-bikes can provide genuine transportation value. However, the weight and maintenance requirements make them less attractive for most Western consumers. Number 5. Small cute e-bike for students, $160 to $200. The marketing language might be questionable, but the concept makes sense. A $160 to $200 e-bike specifically designed for students addresses real transportation needs in dense urban environments. The 351 to 500 watt motor and 10-inch wheels suggest this is designed for short trips rather than long commutes. The compact size would make it easier to store in dormitories or small apartments common in student housing. The 48-volt lead-acid battery is a compromise between cost and performance. While heavier than lithium alternatives, lead-acid batteries are more tolerant of abuse and cheaper to replace when they eventually fail. Zhejiang Zubu Electric Bicycle appears to manufacture several models in this category, suggesting they have experience with budget e-bikes. The minimum order quantity of 50 units is higher than some alternatives, but still manageable for group purchases. Number 4. New Style Electronic Bicycle, $116. At $116 for a minimum order of just 10 units, we're approaching truly budget territory. The lack of detailed specifications suggests this is a basic transportation device rather than a performance-oriented e-bike. The 350-watt motor and lead-acid battery are typical for this price range. What's notable is the low minimum order quantity, which makes group purchases more accessible for individual buyers or small businesses. Shandong Hongda Traffic Facilities involvement suggests this bike is manufactured by a company with broader transportation industry experience. This could translate to better understanding of safety requirements and regulatory compliance. However, the minimal specifications provided are concerning. Buyers would need to contact the supplier directly to understand what they're actually purchasing. This level of uncertainty is common in the ultra-budget category. Number 3. High-performance adult electric bicycle, $79 to $109. The high-performance claim is questionable at $79 to $109, but the specifications suggest a legitimate transportation device. The 351 to 500-watt motor and 48-volt battery system match bikes costing several times more. The 14 or 16-inch wheel options provide some customization based on intended use. Larger wheels generally offer better stability and efficiency, while smaller wheels prioritize portability and storage convenience. Linyi Huanyu Jindong New Energy Technology appears again as the supplier, suggesting they offer a range of budget e-bikes across different price points. This could indicate specialized experience in cost-effective manufacturing. The minimum order quantity of 25 units is reasonable for group purchases or small business imports. The price range suggests different specifications or battery capacities are available within the same basic design. Number 2. Y2GE Wholesale 2025 Electric City Bike, $76 to $95. At $76 to $95, we're approaching the absolute bottom of functional e-bike pricing. The Y2GE designation suggests this is a 2025 model year design, which could mean updated features or improved manufacturing processes. The 48-volt, 12-amp-hour battery and 3-speed settings suggest this bike prioritizes practical transportation over performance. 3-speed settings allow riders to balance range and power consumption based on conditions. Linyi Yuan Machinery Technologies involvement as supplier indicates this bike comes from a company with broader mechanical manufacturing experience. This could translate to better build quality than pure electronics companies entering the e-bike market. The city bike designation suggests practical features like comfortable riding position, basic lighting, and weather protection. These details matter more for daily transportation than peak performance specifications. Number 1. One-person electric bicycle, $70 to $90. Here we are at the absolute cheapest functional electric bike available from China. $70 to $90 for a complete electric bicycle seems almost impossible, but Chinese manufacturing scale makes it reality. The 48-volt, 12-amp-hour battery system is surprisingly robust for the price. While certainly basic, this electrical system should provide genuine transportation capability rather than just token electric assistance. The 350-watt motor and dual-wheel configuration suggests this bike is designed for actual use rather than just meeting minimum electric bike requirements. Dual wheels could mean improved stability or redundancy, though specific details would require supplier confirmation. Shandong Weimaihui Trading Company's minimum order quantity of 100 units puts this firmly in wholesale territory. However, the pricing is so aggressive that even with importing costs and markup, these bikes could potentially retail for under $200. The implications are staggering. At $70 wholesale, electric bikes become competitive with basic mechanical bicycles. This pricing makes electric transportation accessible to populations in markets previously excluded by cost barriers. But here's what makes this even more incredible. These aren't just basic bikes with tiny motors bolted on. The specifications suggest genuine transportation devices capable of replacing cars for short trips, motorcycles for urban commuting, or providing mobility options in areas with limited public transportation. The quality question remains paramount. At $70, something has to give, whether it's component quality, assembly precision, or durability. However, even if these bikes last just 1 year, they provide transportation value that was unimaginable just a few years ago. Now that you've seen what Chinese manufacturers are really selling for under $100, you need to understand which budget e-bikes actually make it to Western markets. Most of these wholesale models never reach individual consumers, but there's a whole category of affordable bikes that do ship directly to your door. Check out my breakdown of the top 15 most affordable electric bikes under $500, where I reveal which Chinese manufacturers are willing to sell directly to Americans and which models actually deliver on their promises. The pricing might not be as shocking as $70, but what you can actually buy might surprise you even more.